Good morning, traders. It's Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com, and it's 5 minutes till 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Non-Farm Payroll Day, Friday, February 7th. That was the big news for the day, the week, whatever you will. And of course, we have, yabbering heads from central banks on the mics today, around the globe and in your neighborhood. So catch a show somewhere. So really we're going to have a little bit of U on M at 10 o'clock, and we always have volatility at 10 anyway, so that's not a big deal. And then consumer credit at 3 with Kugler uh, in between, uh, talking about entrepreneurship and aggregate productivity in Miami. I bet that sounds like it was just an excuse to have an expensive trip to Miami paid for to me, but what do I know? So as we look back at yesterday's action, um, we got up towards this 5:30 on the Qs. Remember last Monday, which would be 10 sessions ago now, uh, we were at 502.65, around 502.50, somewhere in there, maybe 35, somewhere around 502 anyway. So we are 28 bucks basically off of that level now because the Qs are trading 529.73 as I talk to you. Looking at the ES, right, the SPYs were at 605 yesterday. They're at 606 half now, so another basically 15 points higher uh, from where they closed on the ES. But the ES is unchanged because they don't mark stuff the way they should mark stuff. And then you've got the cash 60.50 to, and this dotted orange line is another quarter up. So 60.75 is really where we spent the majority of yesterday's session. So as we look at what happened to structure, we had basically some downward single print boxes for uh, the weak links, the Russell and the Dow. As far as if anyone's gonna throw out the baby with the bathwater, or just throw out the baby in general and keep the bathwater, those are the two indexes that are gonna happen with. And then as we look at the Nasdaq and the ES, right, very very small value areas from yesterday. So, and it was a pretty tight range. We closed up above value for both the NASDAQ and the ES right around yesterday's highs. As we look at positioning real quick, you can see 530 for next week is a bit of a large gamma area. And then for today, it is uh, 535. So that would be another 200 and probably like 18 points higher than we're at right now to hit this 535 today. And that should be your more than likely your top of the range, unless the VIX just is dropping like a rock, which it could. But you'll want to double. I mean, on a Friday, I wouldn't push my luck past there, and I don't think if we hit that, I don't think it would be worth trading past that point in time because we could just screw around up around that level. Uh, if you don't get a swift rejection from it. So then, looking at next week, you got 620 out for the spies. Remember the potentially, and the spies are trading 606 right now. So someone tried to sell this, I'm sure, for some money, and we'll see if they get burned or not. Right, coming up next week. So as we look at, we're trading that 60. Let's just call it 607 right now, and you can see that you've got 610 to and then 612 to the upside. I don't think you can hit 615 like I said unless you're just one time framing very strong up, and then we'll have to see the speed. But I would expect some consolidation around the 610 to 612 level on the highs, and I wouldn't push it past there on a Friday. And then down to the downside, you could hit 600 one more time, but to be honest with you, it's going to be probably a little bit sloppy. I wouldn't think you get much past under 604 today, uh, unless the VIX is screaming higher. And then looking at the cash market, we closed yesterday at 60.83. We're basically probably about eh, right around just under 6,000 right now, or I'm sorry, 6,100. So you can see that it's going to be a little bit of a wall for today. So that's your make or break line. So we just kind of stall in and around, not too far up from where we are, uh, and see if we can dance through that level or not. But that is a large gamma area for today. And then you can see down 25 points, and then really there's nothing rocking it to the upside, so you probably just get drawn back in it later towards this 6100. You might settle above it if you're playing that game, but I don't think that game's really worth playing. It's you don't have any real edge at that point in time. And you can see we've got a little bit of a downtrend slope here. I'm not going to put too much weight into it at this point in time. We'll see what today yields. And you can see you got distribution right at the top of this 6107 area on the profile. And that's pretty much where yesterday topped out. And we're, right around you know, flirting with the top end of this. And then we got that old 3-day bounce that we tapped into last week up there as well. So yesterday's point of control is 6,100 even. So that's your bogey for early in the morning. Are we holding above it or below it after things get going here? And then, we are back towards, notice that the NASDAQ's is a little bit more relative strength actually right now than the ES, as far as it's closer to that uh, 3-day poor high, as opposed to the ES really didn't have that. It just basically had a normal swing high up here when it was at this 61, 65 level as it topped out previously. And then, we hit that 61.48 and come back down. I am going to notice that we are on a previous level, the 61.10. I'm not going to put an, an entirely a bunch of weight on it until I see that we're meaningfully not that it is resistance, but above 61.10 we should get that 25 to 50 points up. We'll have to see if it's today because things are starting to slow down up here. And the same for the Nasdaq. You're looking at 21,900 basically to 22,075 is your levels. And on some serious strength, right? I think the Nasdaq could potentially sweep over that and then, probably fall back in or close on it today. If you really have a lot of strength, but I don't think you can get anywhere near there's 22,400 today. So looking at the overnight action, it's only 30 and a quarter points, so we should have our expectations set a little bit, smaller, right? So maybe heading up towards this 21,975. We got some resistance up there. And then on weakness, you're just looking at the first stop on the bus would be 21,675 down here. So really, as Jack would have referred to it, this is going to be my area where, longs are probably getting a little bit long in the tooth above here, and down here, shorts are probably getting a little bit short in the hole uh, down here. So, we're just a little bit higher than the midpoint on that for the NASDAQ. We're closer to the top end for the ES, right? Unless it can pierce through this resistance and prove that it's holding it as support now. And then at that point, you should expect the NASDAQ to have a similar test of that resistance. Uh, but again, on a Friday, I think you're, really chasing things to, just take the money early and run. There's no sense in trying to squeeze every last nickel on a Friday and then ended up, uh, you know, taking a bunch of stupid trades. Uh, try to take no more than 6 or 7 entries today and call it a day at that. You guys have a great day. We'll see what Jack's looking at, and I will talk to you on Monday.